All right, here we go. Welcome to Wake in the Future. I am Pat.
What's up, guys? I am Joel. Today is Wednesday, November 25th,
Yep.
and coming at you after this afternoon before a holiday. I
Oh,
hope
yeah.
everybody is getting ready to enjoy their Thanksgiving and doing what they have to meet with family and friends and have a great holiday.
Hopefully, having the
One,
biggest holiday festivities ever.
yes, get out there and do your thing. Do whatever feels right. Wake
Yep.
up and do whatever feels right. And as always, thank you everybody for the for the support. We love it. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. And this today we're gonna cover something, a lot of which we've covered already in the past, but that really needs to get out there, Pat.
Yeah.
And this is Bill Gates and Rockefeller Foundation plan to track American workers.
Right.
Okay. And so for anybody that thinks all of this is about a vaccine and getting back to normal, blah, 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 you are probably listening to the
The
wrong show right now.
yeah.
So we found an article from era eraoflight.com,
Yep.
and this is also going to go into a Rockefeller Foundation plan
Yes.
that they are setting forth right now. And basically, we know all about Gates. We know about his illegal activities as far as profiting from things he contributes money to, and
Well, yeah, basically what he does is he uses the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to to invest in, well, no, he invests personally. He uses the foundation to back these companies in their startups, etc., and obviously then invest in them so that he knows that he'll make money. So, which is illegal, by the way.
very illegal. But it's well known that Gates has big concerns over population control
Mm-hmm.
and how the world is overpopulated. Yet, in the next hand, he wants to vaccinate and help the world.
It's because he loves people.
So, yeah, according to statements made by Gates, societal and financial normalcy may never return to those who refuse vaccination, as the digital vaccination certificate Gates is pushing for might ultimately be required to go about your day to day life. Okay, without the digital immunity proof, you may not be allowed to travel locally or visit public buildings, as we've talked about in the past. But Pat, what I really want to get onto is this Rockefeller Foundation program.
Yes.
What do you got anything on that?
Well, all right, we do have some things on that. And again, the last thing I'll say, or the one thing quick I'll say on Gates is, guys, is we've covered, as well as many other people have covered, all of the evils that Gates is up to. And Joel and I have touched a little bit here on the Rockefeller Foundation event 201. But ultimately they have their hands pretty deep in this scamdemic. Between them and Gates, they're really kind of behind all of this, what we're seeing. So, along with Gates, the Rockefeller Foundation is also coordinating efforts in the direction of social control through the implementation of draconian COVID-19 tracking and tracing measures that are clearly meant to become permanent. So, I want to jump over to the other article here, which is right from the Rockefeller Foundation. And it's a little bit of a long one, guys, but this is what the opening here, or what the main screen here looks like: the National COVID-19 Testing Action Plan. And as you scroll through, they go through the forward to National COVID-19 Testing Action Plan. But what I wanted to scroll to here, Joel, was this little, there it is. Yeah, I just had to move us out of my way a little bit here. This little bit of a drawing here, this depiction here, which is the action plan has three major objectives, as we can see here. Objective one, launch a 1-3-30 plan to dramatically expand COVID-19 testing. And what that is 1 million, 3 million, 30 million per week is the testing. Now, we had talked about a month ago, Joel, about how over in the UK, they were starting to ramp up their testing big time over there, right? I think it was Lancashire, right?
Yes.
If I didn't just butcher the name of, but anyhow, they've really ramped it up over there, and they're starting to roll it out throughout the country. And we can clearly see right now here in the United States that they're utilizing the holidays to really start to ramp up the testing. Basically, they know everybody wants to travel, so without having to say, hey, we need everybody tested, they're basically putting it back onto the people, saying, hey, if you want to go anywhere and visit your family and act as if you're a free individual, you need to get tested, and the masses are doing just that. It was my cousin. She posted a picture. She was waiting in line, so she had gone down to Florida. My uncle, her father, had some surgery, so she went down to visit her dad and came back, and obviously, for her to get back to work, she has to get tested, et cetera, et cetera. So, for her, unfortunately, she has to get tested because of this whole work thing. Her job won't allow her to return. So she posted some pictures of her sitting in line, and she was there for like 4 and change hours waiting to get tested. Literally, and she said the line behind her was just as long. So people are literally spending an entire day of their life just to have somebody stuff a cotton swab all the way up to their brainstem to find out that they may or may not have this infectious disease that's killing so many people that nobody knows if they even have. Just insanity. So,
well, that's exactly it. And basically, you're going to get tested. Test results would then be collected on a platform, and then contact tracing will be performed when someone tests positive.
Exactly,
So,
which is step 2 of their 3-step plan here, is launch the COVID Community Healthcare Corps for testing and contact tracing, which we know, and we've talked about this for months as well, that the contact tracing is happening. It was really kind of got a lot of negative pushback in a lot of ways. But what they've done again on this is they've turned this around, Joel, and they have businesses doing it. So if you go to a restaurant, they're going to ask for your information, and always give them some made up name and phone number, guys. Give them like your governor's phone number or something like that. Do something. Don't ever give them your information. So it's pretty crazy. And then the final step here is create a COVID-19 data commons and digital platform. And this is where, we're going to start to see after vaccinations or after vaccines come out is in step 3 here, Joel. So interesting.
well, that's exactly it. And, and so they're estimating that this is going to cost between 350 billion and 400 billion each month.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know about these elites, Pat, do they pay for anything themselves?
No, God, no. We're paying for this ourselves through our taxes, guys. But it's free testing. Oh, they give us free tests.
But it's free testing. Yeah, well, my paycheck is also 15% less now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not going to get into that. That's a totally another issue, one that we will be touching on in the future.
Oh, yes.
But, it also goes on, this this tracking plan lays it right out, okay? And it literally says right in the thing, some privacy concerns must be set aside for an infectious agent as virulent as COVID-19, allowing the infection status of most Americans to be accessed and validated in a few required settings, many voluntary ones. So basically what they're saying is like, yeah, it's okay. It's a good idea for you to have rights and some privacy, but we're going to set those all aside for the common good.
Well,
right, Pat?
and that's the thing. What worries me most here is this constant use of for the common good, for the good of everyone. You don't want to kill grandma. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. If you cared at all about people, then you would just comply. And here's the thing. There's certainly people out there that I don't care for. Kill Gates and his husband Belinda are 2 people Soros would be another, the Rockefellers, but for the most part, I do care about people. And here's the thing, guys, why all of a sudden after March 13th, we need to now take these steps when very clearly there is no virus that is killing people any more than any other, year. I mean, all the numbers don't show a major spike in deaths. We're seeing major spikes in suicide and overdoses and other deaths. But we're not seeing
Unemployment,
it.
poverty,
Yes.
hunger,
Yep.
food bank lines, all of
Right.
those things are going up. So
Yep.
like, but infection status is going to be linked to school, office building, places of work,
Yes.
airports, concert, and sports venue. Basically, you're going to be tracked and traced if you want to do anything. And
Yep.
I don't think it's, you know, we covered it, Pat, back with Gates and his tracking ID or whatever
Yeah.
died. The
ID
name of the
2020 and the luciferase,
yeah, luciferase.
quantum
Yeah,
dot
that's
tracking and all
that's
that.
just a
Yeah.
coincidence, I'm sure.
Well, here's the thing, and where I was kind of going a minute ago is they keep using this greater good for the good of everybody, and that's kind of what they're doing, guys, to keep the fear and the hysteria, and then to try to manipulate us to think that this is not about us being controlled by them, but in fact it makes us go from being forced to do something by them, by these evil sacks of dung, to all of a sudden we think that we're the ones that are actually doing the good here, that we're actually doing. But all along, guys, we've just been fooled. They have just taken everything that they've laid out for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and their whole agenda, and they're rolling it out, and then they're doing the flip on us and making us think that because we comply that we're actually doing good. And that's not the case. This is just them rolling out their entire plan that they've had going, guys, for a very long time. So,
And this is all stuff that's been implemented, that was implemented in Nazi Germany. This is
yep,
stuff that's going on in China right now, and we've touched on that.
yeah,
And how often are we going to need to be tested? Okay, I get tested. I test positive tomorrow, and I decide, all right, so I'm going to go to the ball game or whatever,
yep.
and then 2 weeks later I want to do something else. Am I going to spend half my life getting tested for something?
Absolutely, under their plans, you will. And something else that they're doing here, Joel, that is going to be something that we'll see change very soon. Here is the digital apps and privacy protected tracking software should be widely adopted to enable more complete contact tracing. So whenever possible, incentives should be used to nudge the voluntary use of these apps rather than require them. So the wording there is very interesting because they're going to push for us to voluntarily download these apps. Right now, the phones and the new updates in the phones have these apps already there, so your phone has them, and all you got to do is just turn it on. So when they say, hey, just turn it on, or eventually there won't be a choice and it will be turned on for you.
And the tracking system that they're using is very familiar to what they use in China.
Yes.
Already, once enrolled, you'll get a personal QR code, which they must then enter in order to gain access to grocery stores and other facilities.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yes.
plan also demands access to other medical data. So, again, there is no privacy in this. There
No,
is no temporary, there is no return to normal.
no, no.
The-
There'll never
the-
be a normal like we knew prior to March 13th, guys.
And this is exactly,
Not until
and
we
this
stand
is
up and take it back.
exactly, and this is exactly what we talked
Yeah.
about. Okay, so don't make it mandatory, but you know what? You have to eat. You want to go to ball games. You want to go see your grandmother or your parents, and
Mm-hmm.
these things require traveling.
Yes.
And you
Yeah, you'll
know,
never get to go see any place or anywhere or anybody because of these things, you know. Um, here's the thing, right? The final step 3 on the Rockefeller COVID-19 testing action plan, Joel, is create a COVID-19 data commons and digital platform. So real-time analyses of resource allocations, disease tracing results, and patient medical records will enable policymakers. I love that, policymakers. Like that shouldn't even be in the sentence because it should be talking about doctors, but policymakers and researchers rather, to make best use of available resources to identify the most promising areas for surges in testing volumes to snuff out COVID-19 recurrent outbreaks and identify the most promising therapeutic treatments and algorithms. This has nothing to do with a virus, guys. I mean, it's policies. This is it. They're enacting policy to control us, to hurt us, right? That's it.
Well, that's it. And let's not leave. I mean, we can't leave Mr. Gates out of it.
No, God,
we
no.
talked about him real quick, and let's just move on back on over to ID 2020 because this stuff all ties in.
And that was in the bottom of the other article, correct?
Yes. No, this one's still. The Rockefeller's Foundation's white paper simply calls for the use of a digital patient identification number without indicating exactly how you would carry this ID number on your person. Gates took care of that, didn't he?
Oh, he sure did.
In 1999, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation donated $750 million to set up Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Gavi, in turn, has partnered with the ID 2020 Alliance, along with the Bangladeshi government, to launch a digital identity program called ID 2020. Wow. Aren't they nice?
They are. They really are. I mean, pure philanthropic legends, these people. Yes. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation also funded the GSMA Inclusive Tech Lab, launched in 2019, the aim of which is to promote access to digital and biometric identity services and systems. So ID 2020, which also launched in 2019, go figure, a year ahead of schedule, oh, maybe not, is designed to leverage immunization as an opportunity to establish digital identity. Guys, again, anybody who thinks that anybody in the Belinda Gates Foundation, Gavi, the Rockefeller Foundation, any of these people care about you, you're sorely, sorely mistaken. These people are the most evil people on the planet.
And Gates' father was involved with things like Planned Parenthood, which we will go into.
May his soul burn in hell for eternity.
Exactly. And that's exactly, it's that these are about control, totalitarian control systems. Yes. That is what they want. Again, they're not temporary.
Yep. Nothing is temporary. With government, there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government solution.
And we've gone into how the Rockefellers came in. They weren't making enough money in oil. So, they're like, well, we got to get into medicine.
Yep.
We've covered that in an earlier episode. Pat, we'll include that in the show notes. And, these elites, whatever you want to call them, and it goes beyond Gates and Rockefeller. It's Google or all of these big money.
Yeah. These are just the two we're talking about today, guys. We're going to do something big on Soros again. We've done a few shows about him because he's pulling the evil strings in another area, which basically the legal system is compromised as a result of how he operates by buying up politicians, DAs, and judges. He backed all of the, the rioting and the looting and all the rest of those things that happened earlier on in the year. So they've got these billionaires, and this is what they've done. you know, and they're probably puppets as well by the, you know, the greater power that's behind it, that I won't even mention right now. That'll be something we'll, you know, cover at some point as well. But ultimately, guys, these are the ones that are pulling this stuff. And we've got to recognize this, and we have to be able to continuously talk about this. This is why we get censored. This is why Joel and I have been dropped from Spotify and YouTube. Why we'll most likely be dropped from, you know, iTunes as well in the near future. I'm still amazed we're over there. But, you know, this is why, you know, channels like ours are not allowed to exist, because they do not want us talking about what it is they're really doing. This is not philanthropy. It's not about
And
our
it's right in
health.
front of our faces.
Yep.
It's right in front of our faces. You know, this in closing, Pat, I'm just going to close
Yes.
with this right here. And it's not so far-fetched to imagine a future in which your vaccine certificate or unique patient ID number replaces personal identifications such as your driver's license, state ID card, social security card, and passport, and is tied not only to your medical records in total, but also your finances, which is what China does. Okay.
Yeah. It's going to
They
be a
are
social credit score, and
and I don't care what you want to call it. I don't care if you want to call it fascism or communism or just evil. Let's call it what it
Marxism.
is.
Yeah, that's
It's
it.
evil.
Enslavement of humanity.
What I
That's
don't
it.
need, what I need is for them to leave me alone and
That's
let
it.
me do me. I won't bother you. You don't bother me. You've already got all the money in the world. Why do you need more? Why do you need
Well,
everything that I hold near and dear to myself?
because it's no longer about money for these people. It's about control. Control
Right.
is worth more than any amount of gold, silver, or fiat currency out there. That's
And
what
that's it.
ultimately they want.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that's it. That's what
Yeah.
we got, guys, because we've been talking about this stuff a lot, Pat, a lot
Yeah.
of the stuff in here. But I think that this article and also the actual Rockefeller
Yes. Yeah. They'll both be
plan.
in the show notes, as with everything,
I mean,
guys.
here it
Huge.
is.
Yep.
If anybody was doubting anything, here it is.
Yeah.
This is what they're rolling out. Warp speed is coming. The vaccine is coming.
Yep.
And we've stood idle for
Yeah.
too long.
And the
So
time is now.
at the very least, we can say no vaccine, and we can try to shut things down financially by saying, you know what, take your vaccine. And but at some point, we got to fight back. That's
Yep.
what we got to do.
Absolutely. 100% agreed.
So
Yep.
that is it, guys. That is
That's
it
it.
for me, guys. Everybody be safe on the
Yep.
holidays.
Stay strong.
Do what you got to do. Freedom starts at
Yep.
home. Stay with your loved ones. Everybody, get at us. Rumble, LBRY, brand new tube, BitChute. We're everywhere. So don't forget that Patreon, $1 or $2 donation a month is huge, and we will be back at you tomorrow, Thanksgiving morning.
Absolutely, we will, guys. We will not be missing Thanksgiving morning. So everybody, stay safe, stay strong, be with your family, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
Laters.